If you've been scrolling through endless UPS listings, staring at the numbers and still feeling unsure which one actually makes sense for your rig, you're not alone. I've been there, watching a high-end gaming PC flicker on a cheap standby unit, wondering whether the extra dollars on a smart model are really worth it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, because what follows is going to help you decide if the CyberPower PR1500RTXL2U is the missing piece of your power protection puzzle or just another piece of metal you'll never really need. First things first, what does a UPS actually do for a gamer? It's not just a battery that kicks in when the lights go out. It smooths out the little voltage spikes that happen when a neighbor's air conditioner kicks on, and it gives you enough time to save your game, shut down the PC safely, and avoid those dreaded corrupted save files. In the real world, a UPS that can actually deliver a clean sine wave is a big deal, because gaming rigs with modern CPUs and GPUs draw a lot of power and demand clean electricity to stay stable. The PR1500RTXL2U markets itself as a 1500VA/1500W sine wave unit with a smart app that lets you monitor load and battery life from your phone. But the heart of the decision isn't the headline spec, it's how those specs translate into everyday peace of mind. Who should consider this model? If you have a high-performance desktop that pulls close to a kilowatt at peak load, think something with an RTX 4090, a top-tier Ryzen 9 or Intel i9, multiple drives, and an overclocked CPU. This UPS is built for you. The 1500W rating means it can comfortably handle the full system draw without immediately tripping, giving you the full 1015 minutes of runtime you need to hit save and exit after a sudden outage. The fact that it comes with 8 NEMA 515R outlets is practically a small power strip on steroids. You can plug your PC, monitor, router, and even a few peripherals directly into the UPS without needing extra power strips. The rotatable LCD panel is more than a gimmick. It lets you glance at load percentage, battery time remaining, and input voltage while you're standing in front of a rack or a tower. For anyone who runs a dual monitor setup or a streaming rig with additional capture cards, that visual feedback without having to fire up the CyberPower app is a real convenience. On the flip side, if you run a modest gaming PC that maxes out around 300400W and you're mainly concerned about the occasional brownout, you're probably overpaying for a unit that's meant for much larger loads. The PR1500RTXL2U is a 2U rack-mountable chassis, which, while it can sit on a shelf, occupies more space than a typical desktop UPS. If you have a small desk and limited real estate, the extra height might feel awkward. Also, the 1500 VA rating means the battery pack is sizable, and that adds weight. Moving the unit once it's plugged in is not a breeze. The Smart app, while handy, can feel a bit clunky if you're not already in the habit of monitoring devices on your phone. It's not a full-blown dashboard like some enterprise solutions. It offers basic load and runtime data, but you won't get a deep dive into harmonic distortion or per-outlet power consumption. One of the hidden trade-offs shows up when you talk about the automatic voltage regulation (AVR) feature. AVR smooths out minor sags and surges without using battery power, which is great for extending battery life. However, the unit's AVR range is limited to input voltages between 115V and 125V. In regions where the grid fluctuates more wildly, or if you have a cheap power conditioner that already stabilizes voltage, you might not see the full benefit. In practice, many users report that the UPS just works during typical residential fluctuations, but if you live in an area with frequent brownouts dropping below 110V, the AVR might not be enough to keep the system up without dipping into the battery earlier than expected. Let's talk about actual runtimes. With a full load on a 1500W system, the PR1500RTXL2U will give you roughly 78 minutes of backup. If you're gaming and have a save point every 10 minutes, that's enough to avoid data loss, but it's not enough to keep a system running for a prolonged outage. This is where the unit's true value shows up. It's not a generator, it's a safety net. If you're an esports competitor who streams live tournaments, those minutes can be the difference between a clean broadcast and an abrupt cut. For a home office user with a single workspace, the same minutes can be used to shut down a server or store critical files. The 3-year warranty including the batteries is a noteworthy point. UPS batteries typically degrade after 35 years, so having the replacement covered reduces the total cost of ownership. In other units, the battery isn't covered, which can surprise owners when the time comes for a swap. The $400,000 connected equipment guarantee is standard marketing language, but the fact